of the world's biggest structures, the natural beauty of the Carlsbad Caverns, the largest cave system in the Western world, and the awesome scale of the man-made Hoover Dam. The oil fields of New Mexico, home of the prospector and cowboy. Nearly 50,000 acres of protected scrubland make up the northern edge of the Chihuahuan Desert. Yet beneath this barren crust lies a treasure greater than oil, the entrance to a hidden world. Jason Waltz and Tammy Motif are part of the National Park's caving team.
My main job is to kind of watch over Carlsbad Caverns, make sure that nothing happens to it.
I'm a volunteer here at Carlsbad Caverns. I work with Jason in the resource department.
What we do is we're looking for leads. And a lead is a passageway that no one's been in and could lead to somewhere. We check a lot of leads. Tammy usually goes first because she's a little smaller.
I'm the first one to explore the passageways and find out if it's going to lead into something else. And one great thing about exploring caves, too, is that when you find a room, you can name the room. Last Mother's Day, we were caving, and I was able to name a room in memory of my mom called the Janus Palace. Beautiful room full of glittering spar everywhere.
They're about to descend into the underworld, a subterranean labyrinth of immeasurable proportions.
Pretty tight. Put it under that knob in the back.
I think it's the excitement of going places where no one's been before, seeing the ancient formations for the first time.
We got a long day ahead of us. Every trip is a good trip, but you always have a chance of finding something spectacular.
Exploring caves is not for the faint-hearted, yet the allure is strong. This is the Carlsbad Cavern, one of the deepest limestone caves in America, covering over 8 acres and 1/4 of a mile in length. This, the Big Room, is the largest enclosed space in the US. The size of 6 football fields, you could fit America's largest aircraft carrier inside, with room to spare.
Sometimes just getting to the exploration areas is the best part. You know, we might rappel 200 feet down into the cave and then end up in a crawlway. But mapping the crawlway is kind of the justification of the trip, so it makes it all worth it. You get to do the big drop, and that leads you to the big room.
The Carlsbad Cavern owes its scale to an erosive force that ate away the fabric of these limestone rocks nearly 6 million years ago. Nearly 90% of all the Earth's caves are found in limestone, and that's because it's highly soluble, easily eroded by rainwater.
So right now we're checking the boneyard areas. It's a type of cave where it's like you're in a sponge, and you're crawling through the little air pockets, and crawling all around, climbing up through little holes. I can't believe we found this. This is awesome.
I think I feel airflow here.
I feel it, yeah, I think there's air.
Over millions of years, the limestone has been dissolved away to produce this labyrinth of tunnels. But water alone isn't powerful enough to dissolve out caves as big as Carlsbad. For that, what was needed was acid. And that acid came thanks to what lies below these caves. Black gold, one of the richest reserves of oil in the country. As hydrogen sulfide gas escaped from this oil, it seeped into the water in the caves to produce sulfuric acid. Acid that flooded these caves from floor to ceiling, and gradually, over millions of years, ate away at the limestone rock.
When we go surveying, sometimes you're on your side for a long distance. It can be really rough and grabby, and we go home with lots of bruises, but they're all worth it.
Hey, Tim.
Hey.
How'd it look down there?
It looks good. There's some leads to check.
Great. You gotta check out these crystals. They're awesome.
Oh. Oh, wow.
Pretty nice.
It wasn't until just 700,000 years ago that the acid finally drained away from these caves to leave rooms like the Boneyard system as we see them today. The rocks dissolved away by the corrosive force of acidic water. But water doesn't just eat away at the rocks, it can build them too.
Isn't that fantastic? Solid aragonite in different forms.
Exposed to air in the newly drained caves, some of the water evaporated, releasing its limestone cargo in the form of calcite or aragonite crystals.
Like little needles, little crystal needles.
So delicate.
Over eons, these calcite crystals piled up into wonderful, intricate formations. And those in Carlsbad are amongst the most extraordinary found anywhere on Earth. Stalactites hanging from the ceiling like candles. They can take hundreds of thousands of years to grow. On the cave floor, stalagmites, some reaching enormous proportions. When the two join, a column, all produced by the slow deposition of dissolved limestone. Collectively known as dripstones, these rock formations can be astonishing. As fine as drinking straws, as delicate as lily pads, or as convoluted as popcorn.
That's where we gotta go, up there.
We're here.
Today, explorers have mapped nearly 200 miles of caves in the Carlsbad Cavern National Park. And every year, they're turning up surprises. Recently, scientists venturing deep into the nearby Salado cave returned to the surface with a 250 million year old crystal of salt. Within the salt, they found fossilized bacteria dating to a time before the dinosaurs. Bacteria that sprung back to life, having remained dormant for 250 million years. Other cavernous microbes may even provide a cure for cancer.
Experts from all over the world come here and sometimes spend a week in the cave. So these folks might go in and survey a half mile in one trip, in 1 week, come out with glorious tales of amazing formations that they found. I've had a couple lucky trips where I've poked my head through and found a room filled with crystals that was just breathtaking. And a lot of times I found dead ends, but it's those rooms or the passageways that just go on. That's kind of the one that you focus about. You kind of forget about all the duds. I crawled into a lot of dead end passageways, but I don't really remember any of them. They're not worth worrying about.
Who knows what other secrets lie waiting to be discovered in these cold, dark caverns? For cavers like Jason and Tammy, it's these secrets that drive them on.
I just think every cave trip is a new adventure. and it's a really great way to spend the day experiencing new things.
We're the only folks that could see some of these old rooms. Then when we leave, that's it. It's going to be dark forever.
It's kind of a caver's pride to leave the room untouched and as glorious as it is, even though we know someone will never go back there again.
Caves are a gateway into our planet's inner space, a place where until recently only the most intrepid dare go. With rooms 20 stories high and some of the most fantastic formations found anywhere, the Carlsbad Cavern is a subterranean fantasy land. One of the largest and most spectacular cave systems in the world.